Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and I'm sure as you saw by the title today, we're talking about news that's been popping up in the gaming industry lately. Ps4's Dreams has been a pretty big hit as of late, and that's probably because of its recent official release back in February 14th of this year. Dreams is a game creation system which is not something you hear often. It's a rare genre because instead of the developers creating a product for you to just play, they create a system that allows you not only to play, but create your own game in the process. And this type of game usually revolves around large open sandboxes that give you the freedom to create whatever you want. However, whatever you intend to create is up to you and your imagination. Now, this isn't a popular genre because developers usually want to be responsible for the immersion and enjoyable world and narrative that is in the game. However, I am no stranger to these games as I have experienced such games like Project Spark, which was an exclusive game to the Xbox One and gave you the option to do the same thing. It was a game that allowed you to basically create whatever world and character you wanted to create and set up quests for the characters you created to play in that world. It had really thorough creation tools and, in my opinion, really simplistic gameplay mechanics for you to enjoy. I had a blast with the game itself, and I mostly enjoyed playing other people's games, which was very enjoyable, and seeing how innovative the people were on this game was really inspirational, and it did allow me to take a crack at the creation system for myself. Sadly, I wasn't a genius like everyone else was out there, and I found it difficult to make a world that was either both intriguing or interesting in the slightest. Still, I did find it fun to fail and succeed, and seeing the finished product was satisfying, even if the outcome was nowhere near what I wanted. It was a shame that this great game was overshadowed by a lot of other great games out there at the current time, which left many people not playing it or buying the full version, which led to the developers to stop developing more creation tools for it. And on May 13th of 2016, Microsoft announced that Project Spark would no longer be available for purchase and that the online services would no longer be available as of August 12th of 2016. However, whatever creation you did make on the game would still be available to you, as well as the offline version of this game. But there are many reasons as to why that game failed, and maybe I'll talk to you guys about it in a later video. I've also played games like the Roblox, but I've never really got into it. The whole game kind of felt like a meme to me, and that's probably because at the time everyone was making memes of the game. And I did find the creation system to be pretty good as well, but I don't really know too much about it, like I said, as I never really delved into it that much. I've only played a couple of games in it, like a Dragon Ball Z game, which I found pretty fun, and a Super Smash Bros. Game, which was a letdown in every way. But Ps4s Dreams gives you the experience to create user-generated content in its full form, giving you the access to basically all of the assets that it really takes to make a game. The game, I think, looks astonishing, and they really took the time to show you how the mechanics work. There's even a decent-sized story mode that you can play that helps you get the gist of the game. And you can obviously see from all that's been added and put into this game that the developers really took their time with this product. So I think it's just impressive to see this game pop out of nowhere and do so well. I know it was released, I think sometime back in July, sometime I think it's an alpha of last year. And they did have some of the assets and creation tools, but not the full process. And now February 14th, we get the full version. And you're already seeing a difference as people are creating a lot more than they would have been able to create last year. We've got people creating the entire Avatar of the Last Airbender game, which he supposedly spent 200 hours on already. And the game has a lot of followers and has been featured on IGN and has a lot of attention already because one person is dedicating so much time to it, and you can see all of his effort. There's also games like the Final Fantasy VII on there that looks amazing. There's the GTA 5, which also looks good, but you can tell it was just for laughs. There's a Skyrim game, which looks somewhat believable. There's a ton of Mario games out there already. A Fallout 4. There's a Halo Combat Evolved, which looks insanely good, almost exactly like the original Halo Combat Evolved. And there's so many other nostalgic games that have been created using this game. And I think that's the true benefit of Dreams, to create whatever your heart desires, whatever you dream of. Even if that's the most nostalgic games that we already love. But I'm pretty surprised to see that people aren't making games that failed to get released, or games that have yet to come out, or even games that will eventually come out, like Scalebound, which was an Xbox exclusive, which they really needed at the time, and it was closing in on the release date until they decided to cease production, which still haunts my nights. Or maybe something like The Witcher 4, maybe create their own pre-production style of the game and create their own narrative. That would be pretty cool to see. But I guess since the full version was just released on the 14th of February, about a month ago, so we still have yet to see the other impressive creations that people are holding back and have yet to release. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see in time. Who knows, maybe someone will consider making Half-Life 3 before Valve gets to it. Anyway, I'm just so impressed with what people have been able to create, despite most of them not having any experience in coding or developing or even designing. So it's just incredible to see what your passion for games can do, and I hope to get a lot more in the future. But I shouldn't really get my hopes up considering Nintendo supposedly plans to copyright their content from that game, which sucks, and I know Nintendo has always been strict, so it's not that surprising. I just hope that other developers don't start doing the same thing. Although I think people are creative enough to eventually adapt and make games of their own making that are similar to, those games, but might actually be better than multi-million-dollar developers. Now, yeah, it does kind of seem unrealistic when you say it, but people tend to put more passion in their games opposed to million-dollar developers that only do things for the money. And it's not like these individual passionate people won't be getting paid for it. If their game is really, really good, chances are they'll be getting millions of views on YouTube for it. Persona 5 Royal dropped a new trailer, and people really seem to be enjoying what they have to offer in the latest adaptation of Persona. If you didn't know, Persona 5 Royal is basically like the Resident Evil 3 remake, except it's not a remake. It's an actual new game with a lot of additions and revisions from its predecessor, while also expanding on the game itself. So basically what I mean is they'll be expanding upon their missions you've already played and make them bigger and better. They'll be adding a new character to the story mode, new music, as well as some new gameplay mechanics, which is pretty damn cool. And this isn't a new process for Persona, as they have done this before with Persona 4 Golden, which was originally labeled as Persona 4 for the original PlayStation 2, and was then adapted to the PlayStation Vita, which is my favorite handheld console, by the way, of all time. I still have one, thankfully, because they stopped production, sadly. Weep, weep. Anyway, Persona 4 Golden added a crap load of new content to both the story and the world, and people really seem to like it. They also did this with Persona 3 FES, which was an enhanced edition, opposed to the original Persona 3, and the FES version added about 30 hours of more content. So just think what they'll do to the new Persona 5 Royal. Exactly. So like I said, this is nothing new, and I think it's a really good strategy to make a little more money by adding and improving upon the original game they put out already. Also, it's something to keep fans occupied while they continue working on that game's predecessor, Persona 6, which will probably take a while to come out, but hey, at least it'll be on next-gen consoles. Persona 5 Royal is set to release on March 31st this month, well, for us anyway in the US. Luckily for some Australians, they've already received their copies because of the whole coronavirus situation. EB Games and a couple of other game retailers had to close down, so they decided to give out copies a whole week in advance, which isn't good for the company because they seem pretty desperate in doing that, but I'm sure the people aren't complaining. Control released their first DLC, and according to Kotaku and a few other companies, it's as good as can be. Without any spoilers, you'll learn more about the dimensional board that orders you around and what relationship they had to the former board, along with some other darker secrets that you discover. The DLC also improves on the environments and combat, ultimately giving you a more satisfying experience, which you can probably expect a lot more from the second DLC, which releases later this year, I think. The DLC was released on the 26th of March, so if you haven't already, I would assume you should already jump on that, because it sounds like it's going to be a blast, and it is a blast for some people already. So jump on it as it's already out now, and yeah, have fun. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. As always, there's still a lot more gaming news to cover throughout the industry, and that's what I plan on doing, along with a couple of more game reviews in the coming weeks. I also plan on doing a review for the Resident Evil 3 remake after it releases. Speaking of the Resident Evil 3 remake, they just released a new trailer today. Well, it's the 27th where I am, so this is probably tomorrow or the day before tomorrow. I'm not sure. Anyway, they released a new trailer. It's a Jill Valentine trailer, and it looks badass, and it just gets me that much more excited for the game. Also, the Resident Evil Resistance beta should be open for you guys to play, since today it will be the 27th, which everyone, I hope you guys enjoy. I don't know if I plan on doing a review on that game, as I don't know if I intend on playing that game. Right now, I'm trying to play a couple of new games to review and give you guys some in-depth insight on. It's a couple of new games that have been out already, and I plan on giving these reviews to you guys, and I hope you guys would enjoy them, along with doing some older game reviews. So look forward to that as well. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, then please like and subscribe, because there's so much games out there to review. play and look forward to. So I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time.